Should West Virginia add softball, and will they add softball? Now, ironically, before I recorded this video, I did an interview with a West Virginia state legislator, and we talked about several different things, but softball was brought up in that conversation. That interview changed how I'm going to approach this topic. Will WVU add softball like right now in the immediate future? No. And here's why. West Virginia right now is doing everything they can, scraping every dime, looking under every couch cushion, trying to find enough money to compete in today's world, in today's landscape, especially with the over-the-cap NIL stuff. Okay? We obviously know about the rev sharing. I talked about that in the last segment. West Virginia is committed to being all in on rev share. They've now added a lot of scholarships to Olympic sports and even to football. All of that. All part of being competitive. Well, when they added those scholarships, they added 140 scholarships. A lot of fans assumed, hey, that means maybe they'll add softball now. But I'm saying pump the brakes on that. They've got to focus on staying competitive in the sports they have right now before they can go add new sports. And I'm going to go back to a quote that I heard from Wren Baker back last spring when I attended the Coach's Caravan at Glade Springs Resort in Daniels, West Virginia. And Wren was up, speaking to the crowd there. And here's what he had to say about softball. He says, and I quote, "There's a difference when people come up to him and say, hey, you should add softball. You can make money at softball." Here's his quote. "There's a difference between making money and being profitable. And I know we would not be profitable because nobody in the country is," end quote. So if West Virginia, if the larger schools who are softball powerhouses like Texas Tech and others are not profitable in softball, and he didn't mention specific schools. Maybe this was maybe he used the word nobody as a general term. Maybe it's not technically nobody. I don't know. But long story short, how is a school like West Virginia, who has just added softball, going to make a profit? I doubt they are. It takes millions of dollars to add a new sport. Skylar Callahan over at West Virginia on SI did a show talking about this the other day as well. Go check that out. West Virginia cannot afford to add softball, at least not right now. But here's the kicker. There are some things going on behind the scenes at the state legislature level and at the WVU level, I think, if it all works out, that might enable West Virginia to add softball in the future. That's right. West Virginia could potentially add softball in the future, but a lot of things have to fall into place first. Some bills have to get passed first at the state level, and those bills, you will probably hear more about those come the next legislative session, and also it will be part of the conversation I had with a state senator. Are there any other bills that might be circulating through the Senate or the House at the state level that might also have an impact on WVU sports or Marshall sports for that matter?
Yep, sure enough. So we're working right now. And again, I mentioned Jay Taylor a little earlier. He's really taking the lead on this. And we have a little bit of draft legislation. It's not complete, but I'll just sort of give the highlights of it that will allow the university to set up a fund that will be in addition to what's going on now. It won't be any more new legislative appropriations, but it will give them the vehicle and the ability to bring money in to support all the sports that would be involved with women. So all the women's sports. I mean, a lot of people, I don't think fully understand this, but like as an example, WVU does not have a softball team right now. So
Right.
having a women's softball team, I think is really important to university. We have girls who are very competitive in softball. They play on their high school team. They play on travel teams. But when it comes to camps and that sort of thing, right now, there's WVU sort of out of the picture. Or if they want to go see a college softball game, again, we're out of the picture. So having that vehicle that will allow the university to focus strictly on women's sports will also free up lots of money for the men's side of things and men's sports. We're looking at things like offering tax credits to donors. We're looking at giving them flexibility to use that money and start up new programs. Myself and Jay Taylor actually went on campus to the Coliseum a few weeks ago and met with Rob Alsop, who
Right.
works closely in the athletic department on these programs. And so I think we've got the genesis of a good bill that's really going to help WVU athletics. And we're just going to have to, again, craft that a little more. We've been going back and forth with the university on language and make sure it's something's going to meet their needs.
Okay, so there's no new appropriations, so the money would be coming out of existing buckets somewhere. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
yeah, so that's right. Yeah, it gives them the ability to use excess funds. It
Okay.
also, again, with the tax credit, instead of a tax deduction, a tax credit will give donors the ability dollar for dollar to take that right off their taxes. So it makes it a really attractive way for people to give. If you've got sometimes donors that are deciding between one thing or another, and when you've got just a little bit more advantage for, especially for those big dollar donors, it makes
Mm-hmm.
a big difference in their giving. So
But the
we're
tax,
just trying to craft. Go ahead.
it's specifically for women's sports only, though. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yep, that's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
Interesting,
Yeah, it'll be
because
for.
I'm actually working on an episode of my show where I'm going to talk about the softball piece, because that
Okay.
came up last week with the new scholarship
Right.
announcement and all that. And Wren Baker has been saying,
Sure.
right now it's not in the cards because we don't have I mean, we got to focus on keeping our current sports competitive, and the millions of dollars
Sure.
it would take to start a softball program is, that's not profitable, would just pull away
Right.
from the current sports, and there's just not enough money there to do that. So I'm
That's right.
assuming the hope is with this new bill that it would create more money for something like that, for example. Is that the hope?
That that's exactly the intent. And yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. It's freeing those dollars up. Because what we don't want to do right now is, again, in this Big 12 environment we're in, and then of course, I think the Big 12 is going to be a top four conference in my opinion once the dust all settles. But being able to compete at that level with men's sports is a real challenge with these dollar amounts for football and basketball. So the last thing we would want to do is do something that would diminish that or sort of pull back
Mm-hmm.
from those sports. What we want to do is add additional revenue that's specifically focused on women's sports. That'll give the women's sports also the ability to compete at the highest level. I mean, we've seen so many of our Olympic type sports right now being highly successful
Mm-hmm.
to university. We want to continue that, but the intent is to promote those women's sports and then add these important sports to our state like softball. I mean, when you're talking about high school girls sports right now, basketball, volleyball, and softball, I mean, those are the big three. And there's so many dollars involved with these travel teams. There's so much competitiveness going on across the nation for these scholarship spots. I think it's important we give our girls the chance to work with the university and be able to support a team by the university.
So my bottom line is, I do not think West Virginia is going to add softball in the immediate future, but I do think it's possible down the road if they get some things ironed out. Comment below what your thoughts are on adding softball. Would you like to see West Virginia add softball, and do you think it makes sense to do so?